Lindquist, 2011 was his 30th vintage and his 30th consecutive bottling of Syrah. He told me 2011 was an extremely cool vintage, one of the coolest on record, and probably the coolest Bob had seen in 37 years making wine on the Central Coast. There was a very small crop, 1.3 tons an acre in Z Block, where this Syrah comes from. Harvest was late. Bob remembers taking his son trick-or-treating Halloween night and then picking this Syrah the next morning, November 1st. And Chris was out there picking this Syrah that you're about to taste.
All by myself. First of all, if I start talking so much and then Larry Schaefer starts mad dogging me, just give me some kind of sign because I can't really see him. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Well, Bob is a true pioneer. It's interesting. Syrah is still kind of finding its place and still kind of young in a sense. With Pinot and Chardonnay, we had all these people, amazing kind of group of winemakers, more or less the same age, coming from the same philosophy, and it was amazing. But we didn't have that as much with Syrah. But you had Bob Lindquist and probably a couple others. So you see on this panel, myself excluded, kind of a second wave of pioneers. But all of us look up to Bob a lot. I'm not a name-dropping guy, but I went to France and we got, for some reason, invited to go see Jean-Louis Chaud, who's like the most famous Syrah guy in the whole world, and by everyone's admission, pretty much. And he's a really nice guy, and we were in the cellar throwing it up. Jean-Louis Chaud, the 22nd, honestly, he's like the 22nd Jean-Louis. And he says, speaks perfect English almost without it. Hi, Chris, thanks for coming. How's Bob Lindquist? I love Bob Lindquist. And half the conversation is about Bob and not Chaud and the amazing legacy that they produced. So he's a legend, and this is the second time, interestingly enough, that I've been able to talk about his wines in front of the group. Spoke with him on the way down, and he's the most gracious, wonderful person that one can meet. Many of you probably know him. If you don't, seek him out today and get a chance to spend time around a real legend who makes fantastic, long-lived, wonderful wines, and has never really changed his approach. So it's an honor for me. What he was telling Dana and I on the way down was reminding us of this strange vintage, which was 2011, which, despite the extremely low yields, is Larry we had to pick on November 1st because of the rain, and I think it was like 22 and a half bricks. He's kind of a low 23s guy, but there can be differences. So you say some notes that are leaner and this and that. Interestingly enough, what Bob does, and he was fine that I shared this with you, that's kind of unusual, is he'll take, let's say, 10% right off the bat of the juice before it started to ferment, and they'll put it in brand new Francois Frere heavy toast barrels and make it like a rosé, but that's after cold soak, so it has some extraction already. And then he'll take all or a portion of that at first racking, which is about a year later, and blend that back into the wine. It's like a style thing, which I think is pretty cool. And he's done it all along and still does. Also, this wine, even in a lean year like that, for whatever reason, he has about 35% full cluster of that 90% that he did ferment on the skin. So, and then the whole Qupe ended up being, because of the short crop, and probably he had a lot of new barrels, who knows, about 65% new Francois Frere heavy toast, And the Bien Nacidos, probably all these wines, frankly, but it seems most years to be able to withstand, it's a bad word, it makes it sound like using oak is not good, but everybody talks like that for some reason, I don't know why. But it can integrate, and and it can be pleasant. As Pete was saying, these wines can be extraordinarily interesting with age. Because we're friends with Bob and his wineries on the vineyard where we live, we've been able to try countless numbers of old Qupe Syrahs and whites, frankly, and they can be just extraordinary. So it's fascinating, but it's probably the best years of this wine probably lie in the future. So.